what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2018 Subaru Forester 50th Anniversary Edition. Up front is a 2.5 liter flat 4 and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this 50th Anniversary Forester because it is celebrating 50 years that Subaru has been in the United States. 1968 was the first time that Subarus were imported here. And so not only will we be reviewing this rare edition of the Subaru Forester, but we'll also be taking a trip down memory lane and talking about Subaru's history here in the United States. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru of Schaumburg for letting me take out this 50th anniversary Subaru Forester. Such an awesome vehicle. They are wonderful, and you'll hear more about them at the end of the video. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's talk about what makes the 50th anniversary so special. Like I said, it was to celebrate 50 years of Subaru selling cars in the United States. And the package came with the heritage blue paint, satin chrome side mirrors and grille. It had the same wheels, but had a unique paint for the wheels. 50th anniversary badges, of course, on the outside and on the inside, on the floor mats and the headrests. Silver stitching on the seats. And it came standard with the EyeSight safety system, which wasn't standard back in 2018, but here in 2024, they have made that sense standard. Now, the Forester you could get with either the 2.5 liter flat 4 or the 2.0 liter turbocharged flat 4. They made 800 with the 2.5 liter and only 250 with the turbo 4. So if you get one with a turbo 4, that's even more rare than this vehicle you're looking at now, but still they made around 1,000 of them for the entire US. But let's get back to that 2.5 liter. Well, this was the less powerful option, making around 170 horsepower. However, the 2.5 liter had been in production for quite some time. It's a pretty well thought out engine, and so there's no mystery behind it. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT, meaning continuously variable transmission. And again, Subaru had been using this system for over 10 years at this point in 2018. They're coming up on 20 years of using CVTs, and I think they have it down pretty good. Last but not least, of course, it does get the symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which Subaru is famous for. So how does it feel to drive the 50th anniversary Forester? Well, it drives no different than any other 2018 Forester, which is still pretty good. Something Subarus have always lacked is sound deadening, so you might hear me raising my voice driving over asphalt and just down the street. There's a lot of noises in here. But other than that, the steering is nice and direct. The ride quality is fine enough for a more outdoorsy sport vehicle. It's fine. And visibility out the front is actually really wonderful. And I really want that to be known about the Forester. It has very little blind spots, which is nice to see. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have two physical gauges and a screen. Off to the left is my tachometer, off to the right is my speedometer, and we get that little digital readout in the center, giving me my fuel, odometer, gear I'm in, things like that. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our skip track and volume options, as well as our menu, source, and phone options. And off to the right, we do have our adaptive cruise control, again, part of that EyeSight package. The steering wheel is also heated with a button to the bottom right and some more information buttons to the bottom left. And overall, it's a nice steering wheel. No complaints. Off to the left, we have a climate control vent, our gauge dimmer switches, SRH off, tailgate memory height, traction control off, and the tailgate release, sort of an island of misfit buttons over off to the left. We do have 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows found over on the door. Moving into the center, we do get a little readout up at the top. Climate controls off to the left, outside temperature, clock, and MPG off to the right. I like this little readout, and you can see how more modern Subarus have taken this and really expanded upon it, which is fun to see. Then we have our hazard switch surrounded by 2 climate vents and the switch in the center. This is for operating that center screen I just talked about. And then we do have a touchscreen infotainment system with built-in navigation. Again, this was based off of the touring trim level of the Subaru Forester. We have home apps and things like that. And of course, we do have a backup camera because 2018 was the first first year, the government legally required backup cameras. Simple climate controls here, temperature off to the left, fan speed in the center, defrost to the right, as well as dual climate if you do want to use that. Giant cubby here with a 12-volt outlet. Then we have our buttons for the heated seats, off-road modes, and X mode, and then the shifter itself. Very simple and basic shifter, no news here. Moving down the center console, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 50th anniversary of the Subaru Forester, and unfortunately, but predictably, it fails. Then we do have a physical parking brake off to the left, love to see that. And then we have a little center console with some USB inputs, aux inputs, and a 12-volt outlet. The seats are comfortable. They do have the 50th badge stitched into them, which I absolutely love. That little attention to detail makes you feel special, and this is certainly a vehicle you should own if you are really into Subarus. If you're a Subaru enthusiast, this is something special and unique, and the seats really define that. They're decently comfortable. I'm not throwing my back out trying to drive this car, and that's all I can ask. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 50th anniversary Subaru Forester, and a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room good, headroom good, which could not be said about the original first-gen Subaru Forester. So definitely big improvements. Obviously, over the years, the Forester has gotten pretty big. So big that now they've added the Crosstrek, which is a size below it, when the Forester used to be the little one, whatever. Nice silver stitching for the 50th anniversary carries on back here. I don't get any 50th anniversary badging back here, which would have been a little nice, but that's okay. Speakers in either doors. I don't get any climate vents back here. Another thing I would have liked to have seen, but I don't get. And we do have a little fold down center console with two cup holders in there, a little light, and we do get a very, very giant sunroof that I can open, but I chose to keep it closed for the video because it's so bright. So if you want me to see the angels, here we go. Oh God, even with sunglasses, this is terrible. So there we go, we'll do that. Let's hop out into the not so bright trunk and talk about the cargo space. I promise you it's way colder than what it looks on video. But we do have a power tailgate. Hold it down here on the key fob. Oh, nope, I accidentally canceled it. Gosh darn it, there we go. It's a little slow, but that's okay. I am too. Once we are back here, of course, this is a used vehicle, so we want to keep these nice, very rare 50th anniversary floor mats nice and fresh. But look at that. That is so flipping cool. We do have a little latch here to put down the second row, as well as a 12-volt outlet. Another latch over there. We get nice Subaru floor mats back here, and we can pull this floor up. If I can get my finger into the loop, we have some little storage there and spare tire down below. So pretty average cargo space for a Forester. Like I said, the 50th anniversary is really just a little extra something, so you're not going to see huge differences when it comes to space, especially back here. But here's the back of the 50th anniversary Subaru Forester. Tick tock, tick tock. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really love the Heritage Blue. It's a little bit lighter than the other blues found in Subaru's lineup, and overall, I'm a big fan of it. I would have liked to have seen World Rally Blue if they were gonna do a blue, just because that's so iconic with Subaru. But at the end of the day, I still think that this is a nice color. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 50th anniversary edition of the Subaru Forester? Well, it's very nice. It's still a Forester. I'm not really breaking any ground there. However, I really like the additional accents for the 50th anniversary. And so you might be sitting there thinking, a lot of people my age assume that Subaru came onto the scene here in the States back in the 1990s, maybe the early 2000s. And if you believe that, then you're only getting half the story. And so I wanted to take a little time today and go back and talk about Subaru's history here in the United States. Well, if you could have guessed, or if you're good at math, you would know that Subaru came here in 1968 due to a man named Malcolm Bricklin. Malcolm Bricklin was an entrepreneur throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and he's most famous for importing the Yugo at the end of the 1980s, one of the most famously worst cars ever made. They're not really that bad, but I digress. Malcolm Bricklin was an entrepreneur, and he was always looking for something to bring here to the States. He wanted to be on the cutting edge of what was new. And Subaru at the time was just starting to make vehicles. As a matter of fact, they had just started making their first ever passenger vehicle, the Subaru 360, named after the fact that it had a 360cc engine to conform to the K vehicle laws in Japan. Malcolm Bricklin loved that vehicle, and so he started bringing them here to the States and founded Subaru America. That little car sold terribly. And so he actually sold the rights to Subaru America. That, and of course with Nissan buying in the 1970s, they started importing more and more cars. Here's a late 70s Subaru DL, and as you can see, it was a boxy little 4-cylinder economy car equipped with a 1.8 liter. It did have 4-wheel drive. That's always been a cornerstone of Subaru. However, they didn't really start to see wider success until the 1980s. They started perfecting their 4-wheel drive system, as well as they started to branch out. Subaru was the weird vehicle brand here in the States, selling vehicles like the Subaru XT that looked like a piece of cheese blended with a spaceship, and of course the Subaru Brat, which had an odd name on its own. It was then in the 1990s where Subaru started getting into World Rallycross, a racing series where vehicles had to drive very quickly off-road, and their 4-wheel drive systems dominated the series, of which was previously only really rear-wheel drive cars. And so off of that, they started to sell vehicles here more oriented towards off-roadness. In the late 90s, we saw the addition of this, the Forester, a little lightweight off-road wagon. And the further that Subaru dipped into the mainstream, the more vehicles they started offering, like this Subaru Tribeca, which was an average 3-row SUV. They expanded with the Outback and Legacy. And in the early 2010s, they even expanded to small sports cars partnered up with Toyota. And so that brings us pretty much to today. Subaru is an outdoorsy lifestyle brand of vehicle. Vehicles that are meant for adventure. And they don't just talk about it, they actually do walk the walk. Subaru is one of the largest corporate sponsors for our national park system. So if you like this, or this, it's all kept clean, organized, and ran properly with the help of Subaru. So that's why Subaru wanted to celebrate 50 years here in the United States. They build most of their cars here in Indiana at the Lafayette plant. Most of their workers are American. And so if we want to start asking what's the most American brand, you better put Subaru up near the top of that list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed checking out this 50th anniversary of Subaru through the Subaru Forester. Huge thank you to Napleton Subaru in Schaumburg for letting me take this vehicle out. They are absolutely wonderful to work with. They always have cool and unique vehicles on their lot, and I am very, very thankful for them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.